It's Magic the Gathering, Aether Drift, pre-release weekend. You just went 4-0 in your sealed pool because you opened this guy. It's Loot, the Pathfinder. Now, whether you like it or not, they're going to keep making him more and more powerful until you absolutely feel like you got to play him. And I think they hit the right note. This card is aggressively obnoxious. With the right pieces, it's an engine that you can use over and over and over again. Loot features the exhaust mechanic. That just means you can only use that ability once in a game. However, if it's a new instance of Loot, you can use it again. And since he has Vigilance and Haste, he's going to crack in for some damage. And then you're going to use the ability that best suits you. Best part about resetting Loot is it also works as protection for him as well. But we're going to take a look at what this commander deck could do. And we're going to start off with the other cards you opened in your sealed pool. You're playing Redshift, Rocketeer Chief. It's a 2-mana mana dork. And the exhaust ability of 10 and a green and a red. Just put all the permanent cards on your hand into the battlefield. That seems good. Maybe you open Pyrewood Gear Hulk. I've always loved the Gear Hulk concept art where they're showing off to a bunch of people. And it really gives you a scale of how big these creatures are. You get a Vigilant Menace 7/7, and when it enters, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Menace until end of turn. Damage can't be prevented. So we have a really nice top-end win con here. Kind of like Craterhoof Behemoth, but on the odd chance it doesn't work out, all your creatures have Vigilance for the turn. Maybe you open Full Throttle. After this main phase, there are 2 additional combat phases. We've never really had that stapled onto one card before, but Loot's in the picture, so why wouldn't we give it a try? Now, I'm going to play this in every deck I can, just because of the name, the Boom Mobile. It's free. When it enters, add 4 mana of any color, and you're going to use it to use exhaust abilities probably, and conveniently Loot has those. And Loot can crew the Boom Mobile, and we get to go zoom, zoom, zoom. We also have Count on Luck. There's been lots of cards with this ability of exile the top card of your library you may play it this turn. This is just the new one in the long line of it. I've always been a Vance's Blasting Cannon kind of guy, but you can see where this would fit in. We have another finisher in the deck. We're playing March of the World Ooze. Some really creepy looking creatures in that ooze, and all of your creatures are going to be 6/6 oozes. Inevitably, you're going to open a Murgondo Raceway. This is going to be a budget version of Ancient Tomb. Definitely slow, but you'll get there. Now, what else are we going to add to this deck? Well, I thought it would make it super obnoxious to go along with the commander. We're going to play Experimental Frenzy. You can look at your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hand. We have Loot to kind of dig us through if we start running into a series of cards that we can't play, because Loot will let us draw cards. But if you've never played with this card, it unlocks some absolutely wild turns. To help out with that, we're going to play Fibblethip Lost on the Range. That way we can start plotting cards that we don't want to cast immediately. And we're going to play Song of Creation. Not only will we get an additional land drop, which means we get to clear the top of our library, but we also get to draw 2 cards whenever we cast a spell. Let's play even more lands as well. We're going to play Exploration, an additional land drop each turn. Also, one of my favorite cards from last year, Case of the Locked Hothouse. You get an additional land drop every turn, and if you solve it, you get to start playing lands and creatures and enchantments from the top of your library. Kind of a nice theme here. Classic, but it's a good one. Oracle of Moldiah, more lands from the top of our deck. Great card that lets you play more lands, and it lets you dig for creature cards, kind of like Turn Timber Symbiosis. The secretly most busted ramp spell in the game, Open the Way. That's a big part of the deck here. We'll just fire off 4 lands onto the battlefield. And we're just going to keep going with the ramp package here. Farseek, Nature's Lore. And if you've never played with Nissa Resurgent Animus before, I think you should give it a try. It's a Lotus Cobra that goes deeper into your deck than that. And we might as well play Lotus Cobra as well. So much mana to use Loot's abilities. Now, how are we going to abuse the Loot abilities? Well, we're going to play Retreat to Coralhelm. We want to use 2 or 3 abilities in a turn if we can. We're playing Sword of Hearth and Home, so we can blink Loot and get lands. We've got Teferi's Time Twist to blink Loot for later use and to reset those exhaust abilities. We've got Planar Incision, same kind of idea here. These aren't actually counter spells, but they're going to play like counter spells. We're going to try and use Dramatic Reversal fairly, like someone's never done that before. And we're playing Essence Flux, the 1-mana version of Blink These Things in blue. Of course, we've got to have Seedboard Muse in our Teamer Good Stuff deck. And Loot is worth copying. So we're playing Sakashima the Imposter and Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. We're still on the untapped train, so we've got Kiora's Follower, and we've got Kiora Behemoth Beckoner. We might draw some cards, but we'll definitely get to untap Loot. Our end step resets Loot with Thassa Deep Dwelling and its Blink. And then, of course, there's the best card in the deck. Maybe I've held out on this a little too long, But Displacer Kitten just goes absolutely nuts. Provided you've still got action, you're going to be able to use mana to make mana with loot, blink him, and keep going, and play the spells that you want to play. Now, is it fair that Wizards wants us to absolutely love this little guy? Maybe not. But he is part of the Fomori, and we know how strong they are. So just embrace it. Black Lotus Ancestral Recall Lightning Bolt. Why not? Over and over and over again. Hope this helps.